In this video, we'll generate example data using ChatGPT inside of Shipyard. Let's dive in. Diving into Shipyard here, we're jumping right into the fleet builder, and we want to search for our ChatGPT blueprints. So we can see here that we have a blueprint called Create Dummy Data. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to say Create Example Data. And then so for ChatGPT, we need to put in our API key here. So I'm going to copy and paste that in. And then we can tell it how many rows that we want to generate. So it is important to note that OpenAI's API does charge more credits depending on how many rows you generate here. So if you're just testing this out and playing with it, I would, I have the default value set to 10, but it might even be worth going to 5, but I'll leave it at 10 here. And then for the list of columns, this can be whatever you want it to be. So I'm thinking we want to have a ID, maybe the name of the person, an age, the city, the state they live in, and then maybe we'll say, we'll throw in university to try to give ChatGPT a little bit of a different, so throw it a little curveball here per se and see what it does with it. And then we're going to name the file that this data is going to be generated into. So I'm going to say example data.csv. And so that's going to be the file that the example data is going to be put into. So what we're going to do, so we got to do something to that file, or else it'll get deleted after the fleet run. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to email that into, to ourselves here. So we're going to go vessel name. So we're going to say send example data. I'm going to use our credential management system here to fill in my email credentials here. I'm going to send this to myself. Subject line example data. Attached is the data. And then for file name, that's going to be the same file name that we named it from the last vessel, which is example data.csv. So I can take that, toss it in here. And then last thing I want to do is connect these together. So now just looking at this fleet before we run it, the first vessel is going to create the data and store it in a CSV. If that finishes successfully, it's then going to send it through email. So we're going to call this ChatGPT example data. That's a good enough fleet name. So now we can click save and finish down here in the bottom right hand corner of our screen. This is going to take us to a page that you can see here that says that we've created our fleet successfully. And then we can go ahead and click run your fleet. So inside of Shipyard, if you click run your fleet, that's going to kick off an on-demand run. So inside of Shipyard, if anytime you're looking at a fleet in any of the fleet pages, whether it's the logs, the fleet builder, the trigger, or even version control, you're gonna be able to see this green run now button on the top right hand corner of your screen. Anytime that you click that button, it's gonna kick off one of these on-demand runs. It's gonna take you into the fleet log page here, so that we can get kind of a play-by-play, vessel-by-vessel look of what's happening as this fleet continues to run. On top of that, while we're waiting for this to kick off, looking at the triggers tab here. So the two other ways that you can start a fleet run inside of Shipyard is using our schedule trigger here. So you can see that you can set it up hourly, daily, weekly, monthly there, with whatever time that you want. And then we also have our webhook triggers over here on the right side, so that you can programmatically kick off this fleet. But what could even be even more cool is for an example like this, if you're someone who likes to create example data kind of on a more regular basis and don't want to come in here and create a different fleet for each one of those instances, you can set up a webhook parameter to be sent in that is kind of that comma separated list of values that you want your example data to have as the columns, and actually send it in that way, so you don't have to create a different fleet for every single time that you build one of these out. So we'll delete that for right now. Click the save button, and then we're going to pop back into the logs and take a look and see what's going on with our fleet run. So you can see it's already kicked off here. As you can see, our first vessel is kicked off here. This creating the example data that's sending that comma separated list of columns to ChatGPT, and it's sending us back some example data. So you can see that this vessel is already finished here. So I can actually click into these. I can click into any of these vessel boxes as they're happening. I can see kind of the Python output from that script as it's running. So I'm gonna click into this one as it's finished and take a look and see what's being generated here by Python. So you can see up here on the top we have our environment variables, as well as that API key, which is set as a password inside of Shipyard, so it's gonna be hidden from the logs no matter what. So any of our library blueprints, any of the passwords, so API key, passwords, service account, JSONs, anything like that are always going to be protected with this XXX in the logs. You can see the number of rows, the columns that we set, as well as the file name that we want to generate this CSV into. And you can see here's our example data down here on the bottom. So you can see the ID, the name, age, city, state, and university are kind of generated here for each one of these rows. So then bouncing back into the fleet log, you can see that the send example data through email has already started and already finished while we were looking at those logs. So now I can pop into my email and look at that CSV that's sent. So you can see that's here. I can click on that CSV and you can see that exact same information that we just saw inside of Shipyard is also in the CSV file in our email. So in this video, we discussed how you can generate example data using ChatGPT and then send that CSV to your email. If you have any questions about this solution or how you can use Shipyard in your organization, use the link in the description to set up a time to chat with our team of data experts. If you want to see more tutorials like this one, check out these related videos.